Hello everybody and welcome to this 2023 bullet journal setup. This year I chose a fairly minimal theme using two shades of purple as well as a gray, which you will see later. So I started out by outlining 2023 with a bubble font using the darker shade of purple, and then I went in with the lighter shade and added a shadow slightly off of the main numbers. Under that, I went and wrote 2023 using a black gel pen. Next, I went and added some lines to opposite corners of the page with the darker shade and lighter shade, as well as some circles and dots, which I will be using throughout this theme. On this next page, I decided to make a future log, which I started out by writing on the top of the page with the lighter shade of purple, and then slightly above that and to the left, I wrote out the same thing with the darker shade of purple to give a depth effect. Then I went ahead and split the page into 6 columns for the first months of the year and drew lines for each column. Then I went ahead and wrote out the days for each month in the corresponding column, each one starting on a Monday. Then to add some decorations to the page, I went in with the darker shade of purple and outlined a bunch of clouds going along the top, and then with the lighter shade of purple, I went in to try and add some depth to the clouds. The layout for this page is virtually the same as the last. I started out by dividing it into 6 columns and labeling the months, as well as writing out the days for each corresponding column. To finish, I went in drawing clouds with both shades of purple, continuing off the prior spread. This next spread is a goals page in more of an open layout style. I started by writing goals in this calligraphy type font using the darker shade of purple, and then I went in with a black calligraphy pen and outlined the letters, making the downstrokes thicker than the upstrokes. Continuing off the theme of this setup, I went and added a squiggly line using the lighter shade of purple around goals, and then on top of that, I went ahead with the darker shade to make it pop more. I then went and added some of the dots and circles, as well as lines to opposite corners of the page again. This next page is very similar to the prior one in terms of layout, but this is a memories page. Basically a place where I can write out any memories or special events or occasions I wish to remember or reflect on. So this next page is a 2022 reflection page, basically a space where I can write out any ideas or things I wish to reflect on from the previous year. I started out by writing out 2022 and in between reflection using bubble style letters, as well as adding a shadow to the numbers. I also went to add some dots and circles, as well as some squiggly lines to the top. This page is also very similar to the last in terms of setup, but this is a 2023 looking forward page. Here I plan to write out anything I am looking forward to in the coming year. This spread is for any movies, and on the next page for any books that I will be reading or watching in the next year. I just started out by writing out movies and books using a gray in a bubble letter font, as well as adding a black drop shadow to each letter. I hope to use this as a space to write down any good movies or books I watched throughout the year, and I also sometimes include a ranking or description. To complete the page, I went and used lines to outline each individual page using both shades of purple. This next page builds off the previous, but for songs instead. Last but not least, on this right side of the page, I made a dump to write down any ideas or thoughts I may get. I used both shades of purple with bubble letters in the title and added some elements around the page as well. And now for the flip through. I really enjoyed making this setup. I chose a fairly minimal setup and used 2 shades of purple. You could really use any 2 shades of one color or 2 colors. I started out with a future log and then a goals and memories page, which kind of go off of each other, as well as a 2022 reflection page and a 2023 looking forward page. I finished with a place to write down any movies, books, or songs I may wish to remember throughout the year, as well as a dump or idea page. So I hope you enjoyed this setup, and thank you for watching.